ACT, Post-Pandemic Pivot. Well, greetings. We're delighted to have you here with us today, folks. This podcast is going to be a little bit different from what we have done in the past. Today's topic is ACT, Post-Pandemic Pivot. Sounds like a dance. Put on your dancing shoes and let's get agile here, folks. Rich and Maikel here with Mainline Executive Coaching, ACT, ACT, Take Action. ACT also stands for Cultural Transformation. As a leader, you must act. And as a leader, you must be agile. You must be able to pivot and lead your organization to daily wins, successes, and growth, probably now more than ever coming out of the COVID. So today we have an executive coach with us of many years experience, Dennis Pierce, an interesting man, an impressive coaching career, an impressive career altogether. So welcome, Dennis. We're excited to have you join us today. Dennis, give us your me in 60 seconds elevator speech.
Terrific. First, I want to thank you and Rich for having me, Maikel. I'm grateful for the opportunity. So my wife and I, our two grown children and our loving golden retriever live out in the Seattle area. I've got 30 years of experience in the technology sector, most recently a national director supporting global and enterprise accounts in professional services industry. I've been involved in all aspects of design, sale, implementation, support of digital transformation in the workplace. I've logged nearly 1 million miles just building and scaling and supporting teams throughout the U.S. I recently earned my master's certification in executive coaching, and I've always proclaimed myself to be a student of life, which leads into my core purpose statement of listen, learn, and lean in.
All right, very good, very good. So let's do this. You've got some interesting and different kinds of references that you can share with us in terms of your thoughts of what you're bringing here to the COVID, to the pivot, to the agile movement here. Give us a little bit of background on what that's all about, what you're thinking here, Dennis.
Well, it's obviously pandemic's been first and foremost in everybody's mind, and rightly so. But I recently uncovered an op-ed piece by David Brooks out of the New York Times called "The American Renaissance," or "The American Renaissance Has Begun," and in that, Brooks cites Olson, the economist, who wrote a book back in 1982, "The Rise and Decline of Nations." And basic premise goes back to Japan and Germany rose from World War II as a result of their old arrangements being disrupted. Their old patterns had stifled experimentation and creativity, but this disruption of World War II then turned around and opened up space for innovation.
Huh. So disruption, destruction, innovation, they all kind of come together at this nexus is what you're kind of talking about. How does that then fit with where we are, where in the United States and perhaps even in the world? Expand that out for us. Give us some detail what that means.
Sure. Well, I always think that we learn from all aspects in life, right? I mean, the pandemic disrupted our daily routines. It disrupted the status quo. And in turn, it cleared the way really for an economic boom and a social revival. This is a supreme opportunity for all leaders everywhere to pivot. Business requires that we're engaging, that there's engagement on the part of the employees as well as our customers in order for us to thrive. This requires new ways of thinking. You can't continue to just do things the way you've always done. But that it really leads with leadership. A workplace where employees are seen, heard, and feel valued really opens up limitless potential. So as I see it, this reopening of the new reality 2.0, if you will, is really a crossroads for all of us.
One of the things that happened in this whole COVID era, people started working from home. They were no longer having the camaraderie of going in to seeing their people, their coworkers and all that every day. So there was this emotional disconnect that happened. And that's very real. And I remember HR people talking, how do we keep our people engaged? How do we keep our people so they're not going somewhere else? What happens? How do we do all that? So there's on one hand an interesting perspective of what's changed with the employees in the workspace. And you talked, as we got on here today, you talked about something very interesting. We can either take these things that are going on and find lots of excuses about it, right? Or we can take all this and we can turn it into opportunity. So kind of start talking about what's the opportunity here for bringing people together, and then what's the opportunity for leaders as they lead out in their businesses?
Well, think about it. I mean, it really begins with mindset. We are coming back. I always pride myself on being a bullpen guy. Managing by walking around, but being in touch with my people, genuinely understanding what makes them tick. And it's, as leaders, it's imperative that we're connected and we're constantly engaging and re-engaging with our teams, staying afloat and staying abreast of what their shifting priorities are. And this pandemic's no different. I mean, as business kind of evolves and we return to the new normal, you've got this new balance of the remote worker. I typically, as a national director, was managing people all over the world or all over the country. And I was still flying to be face-to-face with those folks, with those customers, with those team members, so that there was that sense of engagement. There was a true understanding beyond just the verbal communication, but also the nonverbal and what was really going on, or trying to understand what was going on in their lives and in their heads. So I really feel that everything has changed with the pandemic, but that should be exciting. That should invigorate all of us to further explore.
Yeah, excellent. Rich, what questions you got?
I've got maybe an interesting point to add to that. I met Maikel through job coaching. We're both job coaches as well. And I spent the last year working with folks on the East Coast in Canada, teaching network skills, job search skills. And honestly, the ones that I saw that really did well during that time reinvented themselves. They had to reinvent themselves. They found themselves not working, and now in this virtual world, they really had to reinvent themselves. And it's the same thing with cultures. How do we reinvent that? A lot of people have come on to these companies new, and they've never met their coworkers except on their laptop. That's it. So how do we do that? How do we really reconnect? And in a virtual world, and so is the new business world a virtual culture world? I mean, I don't know, but it's the ones that are really surviving are the ones who are reinventing themselves.
Yeah, people come out of these kind of situations feeling crushed. I think that's a great word. It's a very applicable word. They feel crushed, whether it's a small business person or just something happening inside the organization itself, or even individuals. They feel crushed. Everything kind of went away. You don't have the people that you're associating with. Sometimes things are so mixed up and confused. You don't really have the same goals. You don't even know what it is that we're really working for because it's so mixed up. That's a lot of physiology and psychology and brain chemistry that kind of goes awry and gets mixed up. So my question is, with all this chaos that's going on here, Dennis, give us a little bit of light about this. Say you're a leader, a business leader, and you really want to get on and you really want to make sure that you're moving ahead with your organization and with your people. And at the same time, you're not altogether sure, am I making excuses? Am I just waiting for the right moment? Do I have all the data that I need? What's the distinguishing characteristics of that leader that's really moving into opportunities as opposed to the one that's kind of caught in their own procrastinations and worries and their fears? Could you delineate those a little bit for us?
Sure, absolutely. I think one of the first things that we need to do, because of the fact that everybody's affected, everybody has been affected, we really need to look at ourselves to begin with. As leaders, we've got to be in touch with what's driving us and what are those characteristics that motivate us on a daily basis. I mean, there's a number of statistics out there on how people and their priorities have shifted over the last 12, 18 months, right? But once we uncover what's driving us, then we're truly able to understand our interpersonal strengths as well as our gaps and really unlock and ignite our own potential. And at that point, then understanding how we can communicate most effectively with our team members. I look at every employee out there at this point coming in as a new employee. They may have been unaffected in terms of health with the pandemic, with COVID, or they may have had something close to personal happen inside their lives. And we should understand that, kind of understand what's going on just behind the facade, behind the face of what we see every day on Zoom, right? So hopefully more and more people are able to engage firsthand, one-on-one, face-to-face. But most importantly, as a leader, it's our obligation to truly understand where our direct reports, where our peers, where our coworkers are at, so that we can work more collaboratively with them in the workplace.
Yeah, that's really good. So here's a thought that I've got. When a person, a leader, is in that kind of position, sometimes it's really hard to be objective,
Right.
to see things clearly. There's a lot of crap has come at you for a long time. It's easy to have a kind of a jacked up emotional state of being. You talked about mindset earlier here, right? So that's hard to get a handle on. How does an executive coach? I want to hear this from both of you guys. I'm going to start with Rich, and then we'll go to Dennis here. How does an executive coach get you back into a place when you can see things clearly, be able to think more clearly, better engage with the employees and with your clients, your business, the whole thing? How does that executive coach assist you? And even more specifically about that, talk about some of the surveys, the assessments that we help with the leader to get that figured out and see it.
Right. I think you hit it on the head. You both kind of talked about this, about it has this 2020 and even into 2021. I don't know anybody that it didn't impact in one way or another. I lost both my parents over the last year and a half. And so I think part of being a coach is looking at these people and having some empathy on the situations that they all dealt with. And being able to approach it from a standpoint that, we understand. We've been there. But this is how we can help you move forward. You talked about some of the assessments. We provide some assessments that look directly into your leadership abilities, not so much your personality, but your leadership ability. What really drives, that inner core. And, even though we talk about it as what is your personality, but really it's that leadership inner core, the part of you that really is the leader. How do we develop that? How do we develop that to make that everybody what sees on the outer core, the communication skills, the team building skills, all those traits that we see from the outside. We see someone from the outside, but how do we really get into the inside? And I think this last year really has impacted and changed the way leaders look. Even Dennis mentioned he's a bullpen manager. You can't do that really on Zoom. You can't really do that in a room with full of people on a camera. It's hard to do. So it's reinventing yourself as a leader and understanding that all those principles still apply. Those communication skills, those team building skills. We just have to learn a different method of doing it.
Yeah, thank you. That's great. Dennis, give us your take on that.
So I agree with everything that Rich is saying. In addition, I'd say the benefits of an executive coach and having somebody come in with an objective point of view, the safety and the security of an outsider looking in with our tools, enables us to then build a developmental plan, a concrete development plan, then that pinpoints 2 or 3 strengths, something that's measurable and something that's easy to achieve, right? We're not going to create a laundry list of changing the world, but some concrete tools and some concrete methodologies to then impact and empower the teams that we work with, because every one of us is surrounded by greatness. But we've got to uncover that greatness. We've got to respect and recognize that greatness, which in turn then elevates every single person on the team and the organization in their game. You take a job, can be a workplace that has no culture, becomes a place that you're going into work, right? You're just showing up to work and provide a paycheck. You build a culture that people are excited about, and all of a sudden they're not working. They're coming in because everybody sees this common mission and everybody's rowing in the same direction and everybody's having fun while they're doing it. There's no reason. And this is one of the priorities that came out during the pandemic, as people had this time for introspection, is people are looking for that type of fulfillment. They're looking at, can I find that in my current occupation, in my current role, or do I need to seek elsewhere? And I mean, that's very important because, if we're not able to engage and attach with those employees and with our coworkers, the organization's at risk. So, and then you're starting over. You've got the pain points and the expenses and the growing pains of turnover and retraining, when in fact you have an amazing asset in front of you with the team that you have, the organization that you have.
Yep.
Yeah, that's some great stuff that you shared with us there. As we take a look at this pivot, this idea of being agile and the pivot here, you brought up some very interesting points I want to bring out. So much of what a leader looks at is the data. They're driven by the data. What's the data saying? On and on. It's that intellectual prowess that kicks into gear about, what's going on? What does it mean? How do we look at it? What do we do with it? Kind of stuff. And yet at the same time, when you take a look at what's really been upset here, when you really look at it just in terms of human beings, what's been upset here is that sense of who am I, who are we, and what are we doing here? It's really the heart. We used to have a saying, the heart of the leader. The heart of the leader. It wasn't so much like the brain of the leader, which is that data stuff, but it's the heart of the leader. And when that heart of the leader feels, as you've been talking about here, feels brave, feels courageous, feels empowered, that can take on the data, that can take on the challenges, that can now deal with the employees who also may be feeling some disconnect and bring them together. Bringing people together is not just a physical activity that we're sharing in. It really is a sense of connection. It really is a sense of we're in this together to make this all work. It is a relationship, even as though it's in a work relationship. But getting to that, and that's one of the things I heard you say, that in this kind of coaching that we do, we help the leader to get to the heart of who that leader is, how they really work, what really motivates them, what gets them out of bed, roaring and ready to go out and tackle the world. What do you think about that? I mean, kind of help me understand, help the folks understand, because there's a lot of emphasis on data, but courage doesn't come from data. There's no courage in data. There's no character in data. Data is data, but character, courage, that comes from the heart of the leader.
Yeah, data is the what, right? Data is the what, but it's the how and the why, genuinely the why, that's going to drive people. And that's going to elevate people, and that's going to get people excited about what they're doing. So we need to understand everybody's why, to coin Simon Sinek. But at the same time, it really is data. You can drown in data, and you can get statistics to say whatever you want. But as people leaders, we need to understand the how, and we need to tie into the why.
Yep. Excellent. And further ideas, Rich?
Yeah, you mentioned the heart of the leader. There is absolutely no shortage of talent out there. No shortage at all. We got tons of incredibly brilliant, smart people out there in the workforce. But the one thing that and even coming right out of college, man, we got some, the generations that are, graduating now and moving into the workforce are absolutely brilliant, making all these great strides. That's not the problem. The problem is the heart of the leader. There's no shortage of talent. If you really want to compete as a leader, it's the heart. Do you have the heart? Do you have the courage? Are you able to stay vigilant? Are you able to stay present? Are you able to stay focused? Do you have the courage to make those changes and face, what's coming at you? Because it's a new world. It's the new business, and there's going to be, it's the ones who are wanting to develop those skills and have the courage and be vulnerable and ready to step out are the ones who are going to be successful. And really, it doesn't matter what kind of MBA you have or, bachelor's degrees. Honestly, that's just kicking you off the starting line. It really is. It's the heart that's going to get you there. Are you ready? Are these people ready? That's my question. People like us, coaches like us can help you get there.
All right.
I think the most valuable publication every year is the best places to work. That's the best places to work is voted by the employees. They're not looking at bottom line. They're not looking at anything other than culture. Right. And that's when you look at the next generation, the Gen Z, those that are coming out of college, those that are in the middle part or the latter parts of their career, they're looking at the best places to work because they want to make their valuable time count. Yeah. And it comes back to culture.
All right. Dennis, if they want to get a hold of you and have that critical conversation about executive coaching and how you might be able to help them and make a real difference in their heart and their business and their whole critical abilities and all that kind of stuff, how do they do it?
They can reach out on my website, dennispierce.intelligentleadershipec.com, and several ways to contact me there. But I look forward to the opportunity of making an impact and the ripple effect that impact will have throughout the world.
All right, outstanding. Thank you for being on our podcast today, Dennis. Appreciate it very much. Rich, take us home.
All right, Dennis, thank you very much. And I know we're going to be talking soon, so appreciate all you've said today. If you want to get a hold of Maikel or myself, M. Bailey at intelligentleadershipec.com or R. Barron at intelligentleadershipec.com, or you can go to a website, richbarron.intelligentleadershipec.com, which is going to be, that name's going to be changing soon, so we'll let you know. But if you have a comment, you want to hear something on a future podcast, concerns, we're here to talk. So, and once again, I hope you enjoy your day, and I hope you enjoy the podcast, and safe and take care.
All right. All the best, everybody. Thank you.